What's up guys, Jeff from Sort of Healthy here. Today we're taking a look at the NCSF, or the National Council on Strength and Fitness, and their strength coach certification. I've been doing a lot of programming, anatomy, and trainer certification review videos lately, but I've never done a strength coach certification review video on here until now. And I think this video will be a good addition to the channel because, one, I've been getting a good number of questions about the NCSF and their certifications lately. They seem to be growing in popularity, kind of like what I'm seeing with ISSA as well. Two, the CSCS is regarded as the gold standard for strength coaches. For better or worse, to sit for the CSCS exam, you need a 4-year degree in exercise science or something similar. That means many people won't be eligible for that CSCS program simply because they don't have one of those 4-year degrees. So maybe this NCSF strength coach program will be a good alternative for some of you. I'll share my thoughts on that and more very soon. All I ask before we start breaking this certification down is that you consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. That is the best way to support this channel, which is a free resource for all health and fitness professionals. Thank you for that support, everyone. It's very appreciated. So just like many of my other certification review videos, we'll be breaking down my 3 favorite things about this course and the 3 things that I disliked about this course the most. We'll be alternating between those pros and cons throughout this entire video. I will be giving this certification a grade on our trainer education tier list as well. So we're starting off with something that I like about this certification, and that would be the price. Now, I'm not saying this certification is flat out cheap, but I feel like it's fairly priced for what it is. The home study version of the course is $399, and that's definitely the version I'd recommend. The only thing you're missing out on with this version of the course is the book, which in my opinion doesn't really matter since you can access the digital copy of the book on their website anyways, and that works perfectly well. Most of the higher end certifications these days cost at least $499, so this one being significantly cheaper is a real benefit. It seems like they have sales every once in a while, so things may end up even less expensive on a semi-regular basis. Or at the very least, they'll give you something for free if you sign up, like the CPR certification course. Also, this may end up being a pretty decent deal too. I haven't reviewed the NCSF CPT certification yet, but I will soon, so I'm sure I'll revisit this option in a future video. One question I had coming into the certification course was, is this course going to replace a base training certification course and then also get into a bit more detail on strength and conditioning, or is this course just going to focus on athletes and strength and conditioning? The answer ended up kind of being in between those two things, but significantly leaning more towards this certification focusing on athletes. This brings me to my first con, or thing that I didn't like about the course, and that is that it most likely won't replace a base training certification. That means most of you who work or want to work in a typical training space, well, you'll probably still need to get a base training certification in addition to this strength coach cert. There are 2 reasons that you'd most likely need a base training certification in addition to this one. One, many gyms will want you to have a base training cert even if you have this one already. A manager at a gym would most want you to have that base training certification for marketing and insurance reasons. The second reason why you'd most likely need a base training certification in addition to this course is because this course builds upon what you learn in a base training certification course. The second point there is less of a deal breaker because if we're being honest, a lot of the information in training certification courses is taught in such a way where it's difficult to retain it and use it in the field. Still though, a lot of the stuff taught in this course is just a little bit more advanced than what you'd find in a base training certification course. For example, there's a big emphasis on teaching the Olympic lifts, but not as much focus on teaching other more basic exercises. There are no chapters on basic anatomy and physiology, but there is a lot of information on biomechanics for certain activities and sports. If you don't know much about biomechanics and kinesiology, well, you can't really learn that information too well if you don't know at least some basic anatomy already. Speaking of biomechanics, kinesiology, Olympic lifts, and a bunch of other slightly more advanced things compared to what you'd find in a base training certification, another thing I liked about this course was the textbook that it comes with. Like I said before, you don't need the physical copy that I have right here. The online one that comes with the most basic package that I mentioned before is perfectly good. But yeah, I read through a good chunk of this thing and it was definitely more comprehensive than what I was expecting. Basically, if you're planning on coaching athletes, reading this book and taking this course seriously will give you a pretty big advantage over a trainer who just has their base training certification. Notice how I said taking this course seriously in that last part? I really do mean that. You only get anything out of a course like this one if you put in a lot of time and work. If you do the bare minimum here, just enough to pass the final exam, I don't think you're gonna get a whole lot out of this one. I'll elaborate more on that soon. Anyways, I found some of the sports-specific stuff in the book, like information on how to train soccer players, baseball players, and marathoners particularly interesting, and I can see how this stuff could be quite useful to the right coach. The next thing that I don't like about this certification course is the lack of online video learning options. Other certification companies like NASM and ACE have really improved their video content in recent years. You'll find video summaries at the end of each online chapter in NASM and ACE courses, and at least in NASM's case, you'll find a useful database of how to coach clients through certain exercises. With this NCSF Strength Coach certification, all you're getting are some clips of different exercises and drills. As far as I can tell, there's no cueing advice in any of these video clips in their exercise library. None of these clips that I saw showed how to correct a client's form either. Basically, their video content is just people performing the exercises with nobody talking you through anything relevant. I can find clips of people doing these sorts of moves anywhere. As a coach or trainer, I'm going to need help with cueing clients through these moves and helping different types of clients correct their form when they have issues. This course could have been so much better if they got this part right, but unfortunately, most of their video content isn't useful. Switching to something more positive now, the NCSF's reputation, or maybe popularity, or maybe both, have been improving quite a bit in recent years. When I started making videos on this channel consistently 3 years ago, the NCSF wasn't on my radar at all. I pretty much only cared about NASM, ACE, the NSCA, and ACSM. Here in 2023, I get more questions about ISSA and the NCSF than I do about most of those previous 4 organizations. Some of that is probably because those other 4 organizations are just pretty well known at this point, so people don't have as many questions about them. Some of it is also because ISSA is an easier certification to get since the test is open book, and the NCSF provides a potentially cheaper alternative when looking to get certified. So these 2 newer players have both found a way to get included in the trainer education landscape. They both bring something slightly different to the table. I'm happy to report though that the NCSF certs seem to be fairly well respected. They should definitely aid you in building your resume and getting a job. They are accredited through the NCCA, which many employers appreciate for insurance reasons, so that's always good. In 2023, the NCSF certs probably don't get you as much respect as NASM or NSCA certs, but most gym managers likely won't care. On to the last thing that I don't like about this certification, and that is it's tough to say who this strength coach certification is really for. I know who I'd recommend this course to, and I'll share that information shortly, but this course isn't going to be helpful at all to many people who want to work with athletes, so let's break all of that down. If you live in the United States and you want to train college-level athletes or higher, you need at least a bachelor's degree in exercise science or a related field, and you need your CSCS certification from the NSCA. There are basically no exceptions to those rules. If you want to work with college-level athletes or higher, aka professional athletes in the US, this NCSF Strength Coach certification isn't going to cut it. That's not to say that this Strength Coach certification is worthless. This is a pretty solid course overall, and I would recommend it to a specific group of trainers and coaches. I think this course is worth it if you meet a few criteria. 1, you learn well from reading a book and taking notes. The book is the strongest point of the program. If you're not willing to dig deep into that book and take your time absorbing the information in there, this course isn't worth it. This is an old school textbook style course. Don't mistake it for anything else. The second criteria you'll want to meet for this course to be worth it is you need to want to train athletes at a high school level or lower. I think if you want to do strength training with younger athletes, this course could be a really good place to start. I could see it being useful for trainers who want to do some team sport coaching on the side. Maybe you want to work with the high school basketball team or the middle school baseball team. This course would give you the framework for how to go about doing that. Sometimes the CSCS is preferred at the high school level, level, but I'm sure many would be okay with a good trainer certification, this strength coach certification, and some years of experience playing the sport to be coached. The only other person who I think would benefit from this certification in particular would be someone who lives in another country where the coaching requirements aren't quite as strict. This certification is good enough, if taken seriously, to start someone on the path to become a good strength coach. I think we all know and accept that hands-on experience is the other thing that's necessary to be good at anything training or coaching related. Quick side note, I wouldn't recommend this course for people who just want to learn about powerlifting or even Olympic lifting. This course is mainly focused on athletes. Oh yeah, before I forget, the test to get this certification is 150 multiple choice questions, and you need to get a 70 or higher to pass. It's proctored online like most trainer exams and seems to be medium in terms of difficulty, so make sure you study. After all is said and done, I'm going to give this course a B- on our trainer education tier list. I think it's a pretty solid course, and I actually think it could have been really good if they did a better job with that video content. Like previously stated, if any of you are thinking about getting into coaching high school athletes or younger, this certification could be quite useful as long as you're willing to do some bookwork. If you're interested, there is a link to buy this course down in the video description. We do get a very small commission on that, full disclosure. Anyways, if you guys have any questions or comments about anything that we talked about today, please make sure to leave those down below. As always, I will respond to you. And if you haven't done so already, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel, because both of those things really do help the channel to grow, and that allows me to keep making free content for all of you. Thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, stay sort of healthy.